Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break to talk about our sponsor for the month, the Von Mack Agency. Von Mack is a full-service digital marketing agency with a focus on tour and activity operators. They offer it all. SEO, websites, pay-per-clicks, logos, content writing. If it's online marketing, they got you covered. As we mentioned before, it's uber important to hire an agency that understands our industry. And the Von Mack Agency knows water sports. Trust me.
And they do all the shit that you don't want to do. They do all the shit that you're probably not very good at, and they are. Look, for listeners of the show, America herself is giving a free consult, all right? If nothing else, give her a shout, give her a call, take 30 minutes out of your day. More importantly, take 30 minutes out of her day so she can get you straight on your marketing needs.
That's right. What do you have to lose? Head to vonmackagency.com and go to the Contact Us page to get started. Again, vonmackagency.com. And most importantly, let them know you were sent by the AWG guys. All right, let's get back to the show.
So I've been trying not to do this, but I got this book called Get Things Done. Can we put it in the show notes and get an affiliate link on it and make some money? Because I'm making both my partners read it. And we're having daily meetings, but I'm really bad about organization, as you well know. So I'm getting very organized. I'm getting very granular. I got pretty granular on marketing, and now after that I got really granular on drinking. Like my second or third year, I guess. Now I'm getting granular on finance, organization, and business, and it's really interesting. So you might get some more. Might get more phone calls that you'll have to screen at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock when my brain's like firing off 1,000 ideas, because I'm terrible. I'll get mad at Ilya for calling me like at 7. I'm like, I don't want to talk about business, but then I'll be like, oh, something hit me, and then I'll call you or I'll call Steve, like, because I just when I'm like this, I'm nonstop. So I'm excited, man. I really, truly am excited for season. I'm like, let's go out. I'm going to do a kickoff. We have our season kickoff with our crew next week, and I'm actually going to film that because I just want to get them like laser focused and fired up. So I'll keep an eye out for that. I'll throw it in the group, a little bit of little motivation for you guys. Maybe we'll see how motivating I am. How about you, man? What's happening in the Fisher household?
Fisher household? Well, I lost some weight.
Did you do it going fishing?
No.
Why is everybody in this game? So I talked to Jason this morning, and I said, I wish our parents' last name were Yacht. Because Greg Fisher, Adam Botana, and then in FWC you had Patricia Boatwright, Richard Ship. I'm like, you guys were all like, but then Jason said, well, you got O'Neill, and that's a surf brand. So I'm like,
yeah, hey, that's a good point.
We were born into the game. I was destined to do this.
So, mid-December, I just wasn't feeling good. And I was pushing 170. I'm 5'6", I'm short. 170 is kind of up there. And
do you ever lie? Do you ever lie and tell people you're 5'7"?
No.
Like you just came out on live on air, like all these people who knew you in college.
But I'm like 5'7". Right at 5'6" too. So if I have just socks on, I might be just slightly under 5'6". So I got to be honest.
Do you have the markings on the door jamb?
So you know what? I always get I always get advertised on Facebook those Kanzuri shoes. Have you ever seen these things? They have 2 to 3 inches of sole on it. Yeah, they're called Kanzuri. They're shoes. And you wear them, and you can get like 2 to 3 inches of height.
Oh man, do you think they think they do anything for your beep? That would be awesome.
Oh yeah. But
that was me censoring myself.
What's even funnier is that for some reason, like your IP address gets like carried over to like other devices in your home. So my wife, my wife and I, we see each other's ads. Serve. Now, I haven't clicked on it because too many people know me. If I'm wearing a shoe that has 3 inches higher, I'm just looking like an idiot. They're more catered to people that are going out to the club and stuff. But my wife sees them and kind of jokes with me all the time. I'm like, listen, I don't need to stand taller. I mean, I'm totally fine with where I'm at, but I am a little overweight. I want to lose 20 pounds. So I started this like new diet, and it's nothing like revolutionary. I don't eat from 8 p.m. to 12 p.m. So I just have an 8-hour eating window every day. So it's intermittent fasting basically. And I cut down my calorie intake. I take more walks. I drink a lot of water, and that's it. Like all these people trying to find the weight loss secret, it's pretty simple.
Yeah, you get tirzepatide. It just it lowers your A1C. You just inject it, and you just never eat. It's it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure that probably works too. Yeah, maybe there's
It does.
So I pretty much still eat what I want. I just don't. I mean, it's kind of hard. My kids are stuffing themselves with candy and popcorn and all this crap like right before bed. So I'm tempted. But like not eating until noon is easy. Like I wake up, I have coffee. I don't really need to eat. But I started that in mid-December and I dropped 10 pounds. So I'm pretty excited about it. I feel
buddy.
really good. And I did stop. I still drink a glass of wine every other night or so, but like, I haven't drinking as much because there's some nights I'll drink a whole bottle. Like I'll just be chilling and whatever. But so I'm pretty excited about that. I'm going to start the year off a little healthier. Hey everyone, we're going to take a quick break and talk about our sponsor for the month, TourScale. TourScale offers 3 different franchise models designed to work alongside your existing business. They are all manufactured right here in the U.S. and include everything you need to launch your new business, including web, marketing, analytics, and data to automate your tour operations. Let's talk about the different options they offer. Trolley Pub is a 16-seat pedal-powered bike. Next is the Paddle Pub, a 26-passenger U.S. Coast Guard CO-wide cycle boat. And lastly, the Tiki Pub, which can be built for 6, 20, or 30 passengers.
Hit up my boy Kai at tourscale.com. That's KAI at tourscale.com, or give him a call at 888-753-7507 and ask for Kai, or hit me up in the DMs and I'll give you his personal phone number. And we can talk all about how I saw one of Kai's pedal pubs at Arrival, and I thought it was super cool. And when we got into the weeds a little bit, Kai kind of explained to me the differences between their product and some of their competitors' product, and why it was so important that this stuff was being sourced here locally, and I couldn't agree more. You'll also notice a lot of this stuff is called Pub, and which is 100% on brand with what I'm all about. Getting your people out safely, and a model that promotes safety by having a captain or somebody driving the vehicle that you're in while you're having some drinks. And I couldn't be more on board with those ideas. So hit up Kai at TourScale and talk to him. Let him know Kevin sent you from the Awkward Watersports Guys, and maybe he'll kick me back like a kickback or something, which would be dope.
All right, guys, let's get back to the show.
Yeah, man, same. I lost. So I would say I'm right there with you, man. I lost some weight, and we're spinning up some new companies. If you're on Facebook with me, heck, you might even hear about it on this show once or twice. I might have to viciously plug myself. We'll see. But yeah, man, it's been crazy, man. We've been spending so much time on the organization side of stuff and just sort of looking at things differently, and what our values are as a company, and just do some internalizing of stuff and some reorganization. And it's been a lot, but when you look at your business, I think sometimes, and you see this like knotted up ball of yarn, small business owners can really get themselves into a pinch with this stuff. And you even see it with like major, like, larger operations. And you do, especially in this, I talk to so many people in the industry that it's like, man, you see everyone sort of has these same like struggles. And so I find it interesting because a lot of times, it's like social media. You look at a company from the outside and everything looks polished, and then you talk on the inside and you see there's a bunch of internal struggle and strife and like push and pull and disorganization and things that are kind of cobbled together. And this is how we've always done it, so this is how we always do it, sort of thing. And so I've really been exploring the idea of, invoking like some type of, systematized systems and processes based on models of how other corporations or companies function and how their departments intercooperate and that sort of thing. And I guess I've always intuitively known it, but I just, it's just one of those things where you're just trying to, get the next dollar and you really don't think about it. So now, I'm just like, and it's actually organizing every facet of my life. And people that say I don't have time, I'm finding it everywhere, man. Like me and my daughters, like, because my wife's out of town right now, but man, just from my home, like I really am like it's the business of your life, and it can become really difficult and scary and hard, man. Especially when season's rolling up, especially when you're just hemorrhaging money right now. Everybody I talk to is just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like, oh, and every year it's the same thing. Every year we're all maniacal, and every guy that's in water sports decides they're going to build the next thing in like January, February. You know what I mean? That's when we always start because we're all bored. You know what I mean? And the money's going out, and you keep on thinking, how can I make more money? How can I make more money? How can I make more money in the off season? And then you cycle right back to it, and then you're like, the bills are more. You have more headaches. Like, it just doesn't stop. And the only way you can kind of stop that hemorrhaging and bloodletting is by being prepared. And we sort of touched on the marketing in the first episode, but we didn't really get into the operation side just because there's so much to talk about as far as like marketing is concerned. But it is a big ball of wax, a big ball of yarn in the off season that you got to sort of untangle, and at least I do, and reset and recalibrate. And I mean, it's a freaking war. It's a freaking war. God, it's so unnatural to try not to swear, but I don't know that I like that. It's weird. I might have to just swear to just get one out.
Well, I can't take it out. War. So.
No, I know, but I'm trying to do a thing here, man. You know what I mean? Like I said, those of you guys are tuning in who haven't heard my proclamation on episode 100, I'm going to try and stop swearing, and so it can be family friendly, so you can listen with your kids in the car. But yeah, it's a war, man. To me, business is war. So you were getting ready to do war, right?
Yeah.
Do you not feel the same way?
No. So we're in episode 102, and this is a part 2 series. So we talked the first part. We talked a little bit about marketing, and we gave our opinions of like what we try to do in the for advertising. We talked mostly about paid ads, but so operations is kind of our focus today. And I want to ask you, so do you create a budget for?
Nope.
No, you don't create a budget. Why don't you create a budget?
Because I'm an idiot, and that changes. So we just, Steve and I actually did talk about what our marketing budget was going to be for this year, and we're working on it.
I mean,
most definitely.
Big companies put budgets in place. I think every company, small or large, should create a budget so you can kind of understand how much money you have and kind of hold yourself accountable. We do a budget every year, and I will say that some years we loosely follow it, and then some years we more thoroughly follow it. The years that we loosely follow it are the ones that we're just crushing it. Like 2021, we put a budget in play, and it was just, everything was so far off because the demand was through the roof that it kind of voided everything. But in 2022, we put a budget in place, and we just were totally wrong, forecasted things. But the fact of the matter is, it did kind of give us some insight so we could make changes and not, get into a really scary situation that some companies make. So whether or not you're small or big company, do a budget. I mean, if you loosely follow it, that's one thing, but at least it gives you some peace of mind, and you can set some goals for different months, make sure you're hitting the benchmarks that you put in play. So, and it's easy. I mean, you can use Microsoft Excel to do one. You don't have to make like I said, a formal budget, but something simple.
Yeah, we've always made data-driven solutions based on marketing, and I just sort of like, and I think that's where a lot of business owners stop, right? Like I think we all do that, where it's like, oh man, there's money rolling in, hooray. And you're not, don't get me wrong, people have accounting and stuff like that, but you see a lot of like budgeting, or not budgeting, but like bank, bank balance accounting, or, that's your balance sheet. It's what the cash you have on the books.
Cash basis accounting, yeah.
Cash basis accounting, but yeah, absolutely. But it's like, well, what's your company? How, what did you make last year? Oh, let me look. Let me look at what we have in the bank. I think there's a lot of guys that don't know the difference, and I'm one of them. I'm not like, I'm some smart guy or anything. Now I'm an idiot. I'm a total buffoon, and I just kind of like walk around with my head in the clouds sometimes. And then, so this year again, we are reassessing the seats that everybody sits in and where the strong suits are. And I have stopped talking as much, oddly enough. Well, I'm still talking as much, but I'm intertwining a lot more questions, if that makes sense. So I'm actually talking like twice as much. But regardless, yeah, man, what did Batana say on 100? He's like, yeah, my other guy never shuts up. And then I had to tell him, like, dude, I do that when I'm nervous, man. Like, I just ramble. So
yeah,
anyway, yeah,
it's funny. I was talking to Keith yesterday. So Keith Gauze, on our episode a few shows ago, we're talking to Keith and seeing if we're a good fit for his services. But I like what he said on the show. He said businesses just do, and they don't really think about the consequences of that until the time comes where they have to think about it. Like when there's a big tax event, or there's a lawsuit and you didn't put your assets in the right, you didn't protect them the way that they should have been. So, going into this year, this is, day one of 2023, you got to start thinking about these things for the long term. And this is like one of the big years where Trip Shock's been on for 15 years. I've already should have thought about some of these things, and I have thought about some, but I'm really going through with a fine-tooth comb of all my businesses and making sure that, in the event that I sell, or in the event that there's a lawsuit, or anything like that I am protected upside down, because it's going to happen. I mean, something is going to happen. The bigger you get, the more at risk you are to all sorts of things. Whether it be, it could be a divorce, it could be lawsuits, hurricanes, really anything. So, this is why we want to have these episodes. Some of you have already thought about this stuff, but, we're just trying to inspire and make you think a little bit more. You might be so on the go right now with getting your business ready, but you haven't taken a step back to say, maybe I need to make a budget this year, just so I can see what the expectations are. Maybe I need to get with someone like Keith to help me, protect my assets and make sure that.
What episode was that? 99?
99, yeah.
Yeah, shout out Keith Goss and Tideland, man. They're not sponsored the show, but the dude's an animal, and he's like. He's really been great. We've been working with him too, obviously, and same thing for us is that like we've really been just like, oh my God. So yeah, budget conversations. If you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to 99. I feel like it was just one of those gems out of 100 shows where it was just like, this is exactly why we do this show, is to bring information and disseminate the things that are out there and business ideas and principles. And man, that was a really hard episode to top as far as value goes.
We give you guys the crumbs and then you go out and get the cookie. So
no, you remember the emerald in the early days. We used to always drop the emerald reference. You guys, if you don't, we'd always be like, yeah, if you're, here's the rest, we'll give you the recipe, but you got to do the cooking.
Yep. That's right. So, all right. So, those are just a couple small things. It just, going back through your budget, make a budget, and, check to make sure that you're protected and you're protecting your livelihood. And so let's talk about operations. So beginning of the year is kind of funny because a lot of people start hiring about right now, for their spring season. What's the hiring market? Have you hired people? What's the market look like this year?
We're just getting into it. We kept our core staff on this year full time. So, we're going to have to hire some people, but I have like a whole strategy that I do. It's the old, like a little Tim Ferriss thing. Tim Ferriss talked about, shout out Tim Ferriss if he ever wants to come do the show. Shout out Tim Ferriss. It's one of the people that we work with. No big deal. Disclaimer, that's not true. Something that I heard from, listening to Tim Ferriss' podcast, he's always talked about like putting something in there to a directive for them to follow. And then if they couldn't get that right, like if you're just like, this is how you contact us, and they contact you in a different way, you already have. So that's always been a cornerstone of like, I do my hiring. I'll say like, reach out through Facebook Messenger or call us. And then people just we're just going to reach out through Messenger. And so it's like, all right, well, if I said directly call me, conversions are not, like I feel like that's the first thing that they kind of screw up, so they got to go through like a 3-tier kind of system that has always loosely been in place, where it's like, all right, do what we said in the ad. Make sure you're 5 minutes early, because that's a big thing I'm crazy about from my parasailing days. 5 minutes early is on time, and on time is late. And have the charisma, have me personally like you, which unfortunately I can't scale. And this is the second year I'm out of it, but we learned a lot from the first year where I didn't directly do the hiring. And so now, today she got an official email with a title and everything. She is our VP of Sales and Marketing. Bella is now going to be handling that. Just because I think she's a good fit, a good judge of character, because I think that's the most important thing. You have to be a really good judge of character when bringing someone on your team. So we'll see. We always get Destiny. We get a lot of applications, man. Like it's really cool. I hear so much from my crew about people that want to work with us. I love it.
So I just want to make sure everyone knows we did a whole episode on hiring and inspiring seasonal workers with John Hall. It was episode 18. So that was back in the day when we were just getting going with this. But, one thing I want to talk about hiring, and it kind of goes back a little bit about, do you keep staff all year long? Like, do you keep your seasonal workers through winter? Because this especially this year, we had 3 seasonal workers that we told that if they stayed with us for 30 hours, that we would keep them for next year. And they agreed. So we kept them on all winter. And guess what happens? We get into 2023 and, they split. So, we held on to these folks. We basically paid them to do, well, I wouldn't say nothing, but there just wasn't the volume to have these folks. And then they split right when the new year hits, basically because now there's hiring again at better wages. So I almost feel like I need to change my strategy there.
Yeah. Oh, I want to jump in on that a little bit. Can I pause you real quick? So do you think that it was solely compensatory? Was it just compensation?
I think compensation was one of the reasons. But, working as a reservationist, it's not necessarily a job that you work 5.
It was a reservation person.
It was a reservation person. There was a 3 reservation person. So, it's a short lifespan. And a lot of these the folks that do it, some of them love it and they do it as a career, but most of them, it's just a passing through job. Maybe they stay for a couple of years. But and then we see the rural ones that do very well, that convert really well on the phone. We give opportunities to stick around because it costs money to hire people and find great employees. So if you feel like the investment's worth it. But the last couple of years, we found that we take care of them in the winter, with kind of the expectation that they come back and then they leave. And then we've spent maybe $20,000-$30,000 to keep them, and it doesn't pan out. So I feel like my strategy needs to change on that.
Yeah, I got a thought on that, man, for sure. And I would, if you're so willing, man, you're so always freely, not just on this show, man. I called Greg for advice, 18 minutes ago. So my thought on it is this. I don't want to say necessarily like education, but bringing something to the table, because again, that's like a reservation. This is like I don't want to say an unskilled worker, because Bella does our reservations, Ilya does our reservations, and they are animals. They're definitely, on that piece of it, they got trained up on the sales. It's difficult, but I think you have to be able to, you have to bring more value as an employer, other than just like fun meetings or trips and just money. There has to be a transfer made. There has to be a transfer of some kind of tool, giving them something that they didn't have before. And then that's scalable. Can you continue to coach, train, and give to that person skill sets that they didn't have when they walked through your door. And I think the return on that becomes exponential and it becomes scalable, because now you're not hiring somebody to be the reservationist. You're hiring somebody to be head of sales, or you're hiring somebody to be, whatever it is, to transfer them into maybe a marketing position. And I see like some of your top level people have sort of like moved up the value chain, or, they've moved up in the company, or it's like you have given them something intrinsic that they can take with them for the rest of their life. Like it was one part culture, one part education, and you have to find something that you can give to those low employees, or those just people starting out, that is like in sales. And I don't hate to be the sales guy all of a sudden, but like a carrot dangle. There's got to be something at the end of that carrot that's just not money, that they can not even maybe necessarily grow in the company, but grow as a human being.
Yeah, I think there's two issues really. And I know a lot of companies are in the same spot where we have somewhere between 10 and 20 reservationist staffed at any given time. I mean, in the summer, it's closer to 20, and in the off-season, it's closer to 10. And it's really hard to break through to the next level when you're a line level reservationist, because our managers have been there for a long time. So advancement is kind of difficult. It's a difficult job. You get beat up all day long from people, and then there's not a whole lot of advancement, and the compensation is obviously not really high because it is a line level position.
But I have one quick question. Though. So if there is a phone salesperson that's in your organization that is showing growth inside of your organization, is crushing it, if their numbers are way beyond everybody else's, you're telling me that there's nowhere that person can go? You can't find anything for that person besides what they're doing? Like just crushing it. Like their numbers are 40, 50%. Like you're like, man, we've got to keep this person on the phones. Like, and I'm willing to figure out something else, teach them something, give them something, put them in another chair doing something maybe they're not doing as great at.
If they're doing incredible at a position, then yeah, the door's open elsewhere. But especially in a time like now, like we're trying to become more of a more lean company overall. So there's not a whole lot of positions open as it is, and also the advancement's small.
I have another question. Yeah. Can that person not double down on marketing efforts? Like
I don't put reservationists in marketing roles, or even small marketing roles. I don't, because we have dedicated people for that. There's not sometimes there's little tasks that they can do to help out a different department, but you know what it is like. You wouldn't take your cousin's girlfriend and just throw them into a marketing role at a company.
I do. I mean, look, listen, and I 100% do. Everybody here is a marketer. And we try to find more marketing, like however it is, like learn it. Because at the end of the day, like I understand the idea of like continuity, brand recognition, and like you want to have this. But look, man, if somebody's going to go out and like throw trip flyer shocks everywhere, trip shock flyers all over somebody's car, you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I think most of the buying public, especially for our products, it's not like we're selling Apple phones or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it very much is a commodity. And so we might lose a little bit of brand recognition, but I'm just like always more is more.
In my experience, when you give employees a lot of different responsibilities, 100%. It gets convoluted and they get distracted. They get complacent.
I definitely don't disagree, but where I don't necessarily disagree, but when it comes to that, unless they're actually showing us so because there's so much to do in the world of marketing, maybe it's just content generation for us. Maybe that reservationist can, hey, Kevin, I need somebody to go out and ski today and go get just a ton of content, because the reality of it is you don't have to be Justin Buzzy and have his camera or his skill set to take pictures. You just need a ton of them. And then you can spin up a content machine that just never stops. Because if you get that raw content in the hands of your people that generate your marketing, they're going to be able to take that and do that. I just saw, as an aside really quick, I saw a friend's band of mine that just did this amazing album cover, and it was just through experimentation of taking a picture, and then they got a couple people together, but the raw content was just like, it was a very bizarre picture, and that became the cover of their album because, you know, the people that did have the ability as artists to get around that picture and add stuff to it and create their message and their piece, it was then an amazing album cover. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I really firmly believe in, again, I don't want everybody wearing a ton of hats, but at the same point in time, if there's something like, hey man, is there a room here to be painted? Is there a hole to be dug, so to speak? You know, we call them ditch diggers. Well, the ditch diggers at Destiny Water Ventures, when we run out of stuff to do, is they all become marketers in some capacity, one way or another.
Yeah. So, you know,
just one man's take.
Yeah. So we're kind of going back to the original
marketing,
you know, the original problem,
yeah.
Or not necessarily marketing, but just like carrying people over through the winter. I've got to the point thinking, okay, it takes 3 to 4 weeks to train a new employee. You know, an average employee takes 3 to 4 weeks to get them where they need to be to start being on their own. You know, they put them into the call center. So does it make sense to keep someone for 3 months that they leave right when the winter hits? You know, 3 months, where you don't necessarily need that person, and you can have your managers cover phones and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I'm getting at, is that for that position that doesn't have a whole lot of advancements opportunities with the company, I really think that that's the case. And I had the same conversation with another water sport operator that carried a lot of his seasonal or winter or your employees over through the winter, and they all started leaving one by one as soon as the season started kicking up because they got better job offers, and they're in the same situation.
I'm going to do it again, man. I 100% disagree with that tactic, 100%. Especially for water sports. I can't speak to a corporate office and Trip Shock, but definitely water sports. I mean, we have places to learn everywhere, man. From marketing to mechanics to being a captain, fiberglass, whatever it is that you are interested in here. But what if they don't want to learn?
Sales? What if they're hired to do reservations and they don't want to learn maintenance or learn marketing?
I don't hire people like that. I hire people that want to grow. And I get them when they're seedlings, and then I'm like, let's all grow together, man. Like we'll figure it out together as a team. Like my staff is very much so, like very close to me, man. Like every single one of them that I hire, I see something in. Now I don't know what happens 50, 60 people. 50, 60 people. I don't know that maybe that's just not scalable, but at least with our dedicated staff. And I definitely see what you're getting at. So we have to keep on growing and growing and growing and growing as a company to keep on giving people advancement opportunities. But I just feel like there's always something to learn. Like as we just continue to grow, as our fleet grows, as everything grows, as a company grows, I'm always trying to figure out what they want to learn. And if somebody comes in and they're not like, I'm like, hey, what do you want? When I talk to someone, I'm like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to be? Like everybody's entry level that comes into Destiny Water Adventures. I'm entry level. And as a CEO, as an owner, as a boss, whatever, and this could be completely off base. I could be completely wrong, but I want to give opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think it's good. I mean, we're giving people two different perspectives. I
100%.
And I think there are people that can be cross-trained.
So listen, I had Chance. Chance the same thing. Chance, he's like, I'm like trying to get him to take his captain's license. You know what I mean? I've had conversate with all my people that have been through us for the years that they have been, and it's sort of like tricky, but regardless, it was just like he just wasn't feeling that. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right. So I just kind of watched him what he gravitated toward naturally, and he just like really wanted to turn wrenches. He really wants to learn how to be a mechanic. So I'm like, here you go. Here's our whole thing. Go destroy it. Go destroy it, build it, fix it, repair it. I will not hire a trained mechanic at this time at all, because my guys have learned how to do it. All of my guys that wrench on stuff have learned on the job. Cameron, my operations manager, learned how to be a mechanic on the job, because the reality of it is he doesn't need to be a mechanic. He needs to be a pontoon boat mechanic and a jet ski VX mechanic. He doesn't need to be certified in Yamaha. He needs to know the 5 to 6 things. It's the 80-20 principle that break on all of this stuff. And then if we need to bring an outside mechanic in when we have a head scratcher, an engine that needs to be torn down, or an engine that needs to get pulled, or something wild, then yeah, we'll just call in a regular mechanic. Do I need to pay somebody $80,000 a year as a mechanic or whatever? And so, Cam does that. He wears like 20 different hats. And if he's showing me that he's not good at it or he's unhappy at it, Bella, same thing. She showed me some stuff that she was unhappy with. Although she could do it, she was unhappy with. And she tried to hide it from me. And I was like, no. I will find something for you that you enjoy, that you're really good at. And then we scale people. And so it's very rare that I come across. So I even have one guy. I can't seem to find anything for him, but he's got a bug for home, for fixing stuff on carpentry. So I'm like, great, off season, come on over to my house. Tons of jobs for you to do. You like gardening? Awesome. I learned that from Rich. Rich was the master. Rich was the master of that. Dude.
Rich Welker,
you know what I mean? But
from Sunset Watersports.
Rich Welter, yeah, okay. 100%, dude. You know what I mean? Finding what people like to do, what they were good at, and then like figuring out, you know what I mean? The business of Sunset Watersports is the business of Rich Welter's life. You know what I mean? And so I did take a little page from that. And again, he probably has encountered this too, where he's got 60 people and he's like, well, y'all can't be over at my house, like, mowing the lawn or working at my house. But you do find that core group of people that you have to take along through the off season, just because, man, it's not even the time that it takes to train. It's the churn and the value that they provide. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's just, man, like without my core team, you know what I mean?
If I could
involved.
Cross-train and squeeze some value out of those individuals in the winter, like put them on sales calls and things like that, that would make sense. But it just,
you got to talk to them.
Yeah, it just doesn't.
You got to talk to them, Greg.
No, I'm just saying, like, you can't force someone. Like, I'm big on the predictive index, which is the personality test that we have every single employee. Sure. It will tell you what their personality matches to which job. Some of them if they score really high on sales, then I know that I can move them. Being a reservationist and being a salesperson are not necessarily the same thing. But if they score really low on that personality test, and then when we talk to them for a little bit and find out, it's not something you can force someone's personality to be an outgoing, extroverted type of salesperson.
What if they want to be, though? What if they really want to try?
If they want to be, but they don't have that personality, it's going to be really tough. You're going to have to find a different way to reach them. So maybe it's not outside sales. Maybe it's inbound sales or inside sales. Like Luke, for example, for WaveRes, Luke is like the best inside salesperson. If you give him a warm lead, he will close it. But to ask him to do, go make 20 phone calls a day, he will be wiped out for the whole week in one day doing that. So salespeople,
if you want, you can send Lukey over my way and we will whoop that into shape, because he talks about being from Detroit. I am from a D, and to me, that is
you are bullshit, 100%
man.
An outside salesperson. You have the personality.
You send Luke over to me, man. I've done some sales trading with Chen Mark and with Tour Scale, and all for free, by the way. But I'm not. That's not my job. I'm not a sales trainer. I do this stuff because I enjoy talking to folks about it. But you send Luke over here, man. We'll be doing some push-ups together. We'll be working on that beard. I love Luke, man. But it's just, I don't know, man. Like, so while I agree with you, while predictive indexing and I think you can get to a core, but then it's like you do have to talk to somebody. It's like chance, like 100% chance. Now, I didn't do a predictive text on him, but he just told me he wanted to be a mechanic. This kid told me I would watch him lose stuff all over the dock, and then I was like, hey, man, go get me a pair of channel locks, and he came back with a screwdriver. I was like, kid, you want to be a mechanic? And it's because his dad was a mechanic. You know what I'm saying? So he rode on the footsteps in his father. So I'm like, all right, if that's what you want to do, man, then Cool. Like at the end of the day, can you get the 80%? Are you not, maybe not to be the world's greatest mechanic, but at Destiny Water Adventures, we don't need the world's greatest mechanic. We need somebody that can hustle, that can work hard, that can work long hours. And it might take, let's say 10 hours to do a 5-hour job, but you're paying 3 times the amount of money for the mechanic. I mean, that's a home run for me, dude. I don't need to do any budget forecasting on that. I can just go, yup, that works. And I'm willing to take the bumps and the licks and the bruises to curate that relationship with my staff and my core group of people and keep them working. That's what we did this year, and I'm so happy we did, man. I'm so happy we kept everybody working this year because they shine. You know what I mean? Like, all right, you're just sitting there kind of twiddling your thumbs. I don't have every single second accounted for you're going to do something, and I might be losing it on
Well,
it,
you guys have so much work
day,
to do in the off season with the boats. There's there's no, for us, it's like we don't have assets to take care of. We're busy when people are calling.
I'd have them mugs over at WaveRes doing some coding. I'd be like, you're gonna learn how to code this year, son, and they're gonna be like, what? I'm like, code for what? I'm like, I don't know, man, but you're gonna figure it out because next year if you wanna slang phones at Trip Shock, man, you better be doing something and clack 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 on the computer, man. I don't care what is. Damn it! I almost got through this episode without swearing, and God, man, Lee. All right, but yeah, man. Getting back to it. This time of year is this is crucial, man. Like, it's really easy to take your foot off the gas and just sort of coast and go, man, I'm going to take a deep breath, man. You know what I mean? And just kind of, wow, that was a lot. Season was crazy. You know what I mean? Or drill down and try to build more. How do we make money? And operate from a place of scarcity, man. But, this is the time of year, like, you can get granular, figure stuff out. You are getting a break. And it's like, all right, like, let's see where we got it right last year, and let's triple down on that. Let's see where we got wrong last year, and man, let's quintuple down on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go. Let's be so much better. Let's 10x what we messed up so bad last year, and let's just continue to do what we do, and we are bulletproof, and we dominate at every single level. And that is what you need to be focusing on in the off season. 100%.
Yeah. Well,
let's go. I'm pumped up. Who's pumped up for the season? Let's go, man.
I think we're going to have to continue having a conversation because we didn't even get the other stuff. But I love the part about seasonal because I guarantee you we're going to have a lot of conversation in the Facebook group about
Let's go
seasonal.
For part 3, son.
Part 3. We got a lot more to talk about. But
yeah, we have to, man. There's just too much. There's too much to talk about, man. This is a big thing. And then, going forward, man, like something I just want to put in the pipe that we do not forget about, man, is we need to talk to some Fort. A part of this is the Fort Myers operations, man. We need to talk to those guys because they're going to bring in some insight about how you get ready for season when you got your head kicked in by a storm at the end of last season. That's some insight I cannot bring in.
So let's bring on a couple of those Fort Myers guys and have a conversation.
Yeah, let's be Kevin and Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan Kunzel and Kevin Nobis.
Fire.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, we're gonna nudge them. I know they're listening too, so expect next show you're gonna be on it. All right, guys. Well, that's the show. We appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us for the past 45 minutes. As always, check out our Facebook group with our new fancy name, Watersport and Boat Tour Operators. Easy to say, easy to search. Also, make sure to follow us on all the popular podcasting platforms and join our all of our socials, Instagram. You can find us on all of those. All right. Well, as always, keep it awkward.